There comes a time in our lives where we have to make a decision. Things are going to come. Things are going to come. Trials going to come. Tribulations are going to come. There are going to be times where you're so madly frustrated with yourself, so madly frustrated with others, confused about the next steps. And I just wanted to come on today's podcast and just let you know that you still have the power to make a different decision to change your outcomes. This is something that I had to remind myself about this week. And I know I just jumped right in this week, so let me start over and say hello, beautiful, and welcome to another episode of Beautiful I Am Colored. My name is Evelyn, and I am the host, creator of this podcast, as well as the author of the book titled Beautiful I Am Colored, which is still available on my website at beautifuliamcolored.com. Now, if you're new here, this is the place where I provide insights and perspectives of things that I've learned or gained from my week, in hopes of bringing hope to you as well as healing, as I share with a great deal of transparency each week. Also, each week, I have a segment that I call Shoutouts and Thank Yous, and it's the moment where I shout out a person, place, thing, or idea. And the purpose of that is to just ground the podcast with a moment of gratitude, because I firmly believe that in every single thing that we go through, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the unexplainables, the hurts that are so deep that you don't have words to put them to ascribe them to. Even in the moment of shout outs and thank yous, I feel like everyone has at least one thing that they can be grateful for. And if you are in such a place where you don't have anything, you can't search and find anything that you're grateful for at the moment, let me just encourage you that you can listen to this podcast weekly where I provide a shout out and thank you, and maybe that'll give you just the seed that you need in order for you to have a moment of gratitude in your life. Anyhow, getting back to today's topic, which is choose you. Choose you. Choose yourself. Learn how to trust yourself, and here's why I say that. Because it gets so hard sometimes to go through things, whether it be personal, whether it be professional, whether it be spiritual. It gets hard sometimes. And sometimes it becomes increasingly difficult to hear, the next steps. Sometimes you just don't know. But I want to just encourage you to put yourself first. And as contrary as that may seem, and it's definitely contrary to what I know is what used to be anyways taught in Christian churches, it is all the more important in today's time and space where we are so many times just up against everything. And when I say everything, there are so many things vying for your attention, especially because the most of us live our lives in the little devices inside our pockets and palms. Yes, of course. I've talked about this before. I'm talking about our cell phones. Between Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, for those of us who are a bit more old school, some of the newer platforms, even if your business is business centered on social media, which kind of mine is to a degree, to where you have to be on here for a period of time, it still can become taxing because we are people still. And because we are people, we have a tendency to be fickle. But one thing that is steadfast and that can be sharpened all the more in terms of decision making is you. And so the reason why I chose this topic today is because, this week I found myself thinking to myself, girl, what are you doing? Like, why are you so frustrated with this little stuff that's going on? And the truth of the matter is that I don't have to be frustrated. I sure do not. I have a voice. I can advocate for myself. If I feel the need, I can advocate for others. And at times I do that when I feel led to do so. I know how to speak truth to power and not have any malicious intent in my heart whatsoever. And that is who I am created to be. The reason why I know this about myself is because I have spent tons of time with myself, really doing a lot of self-introspection and reflection and trying to sharpen and become a better Evelyn. And I firmly believe that if we start focus and putting a lot of intentionality behind developing ourselves first, then the other things will become more clear. I'm not saying that we're not going to face obstacles. That's not what I'm saying here. What I am saying is when we're faced with obstacles, because we have done the work in terms of learning more about ourselves, sharpening our minds, and even if you don't have an in-person person to talk to, you can do that these days easily through podcasts, through YouTube videos, etc., to help sharpen some of the skills in terms of advancing your own development. And when you do that, what happens, you get in these moments where you feel kind of cornered and stuck. Your subconscious level has been programmed at such a moment that you pull from that. Like it shows, how can I say, it shows up when you need it the most. And this is why I fervently believe, I think I use fervently right, even though it's kind of an archaic term, but that's neither here nor there. I believe deeply is what I'm trying to say, that it is in some of the hardest moments of our lives where whatever we have invested in ourselves personally from a developmental standpoint that you pull from. And it shows up. I mean, even while I'm talking right now in this podcast, I made a commitment to be consistent and, put in this podcast. Of course, y'all know I take my breaks every now and then to fuel myself up. But I made a commitment to myself. And here I am, cascading on the start of the third year of my podcast. And I never thought when I started this that I would be this long in it, for one, and two, that I have such a passion for it. And the reason is because I have a passion to serve. And so we have to allow all of the uncertainties of life and all of the low moments where we have low self-confidence and low self-esteem and, questioning like, man, are we really the person equipped to do what we've been called to do? Or maybe you're just at the beginning of your personal development journey and you're like, girl, I don't even know where to begin. I'm just like, what? Totally get it. And that's totally fine. But what I am saying is we have to start somewhere. And I firmly believe that is starting with you first. And this goes beyond if you have a committed relationship, if you are like me, married for a very long time now. It doesn't matter. You sharpening you cannot go wrong. It cannot go wrong. So I just want to encourage you today. I know this is a short one, but I needed to just drop this really quick. You can do it. You can do it. Choose you. Choose yourself. And remember, the future you is waiting on you. This is why I say that little closing tag every week, right? Because no one is responsible for you but you. Very few people. I mean, children, sure, they are dependent on their parents. And, there are some exceptions. But for the most part, you're listening to me. That means that you're probably more than likely a young adult or a full adult age-wise. And so you can take charge of your life. You can take charge of your life. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Make a different decision to get the outcome that you want. And if you're in a moment of flow where you're vibing on all cylinders, then maintain that as long as you can, so that fuels you for the next thing that life might have in store for you. Okay, I am done. That is all that I have to give for this week. But I look forward to talking again next week, where I will be actually recording on location elsewhere in the country. And I will share more about that next week. I'm so excited, though, because I haven't traveled in quite some time. So I'm super excited to get the opportunity to travel. And so until next week, I hope you have a great week, everyone. And one final reminder, remember, the future you is waiting on you.